Joining us right now is Christine Porath. She is a researcher with Georgetown University and was part of the. She was one of the researchers in the study that we've been talking about rude people. Christine, I'm going to be so nice to you. You will be so amazed at how nice we are here in Houston.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm thrilled about that. That's great.
Christine, we've been listening to a couple of the sound bites you had with Joe Gomez, who's doing the story for us. And one of the things that you mentioned that I think is just fascinating is that people say they don't have time to be nice. Can you explain what is that all about?
Well, I think it's a function of people responding to the highly competitive global business environment. So people in the workplace claim that they feel like they're being stretched like bungee cords, continually being asked to produce more with fewer resources.
So does it take more time to be nice than it does to be rude?
No, and that's our argument. That's our pushback. We get that in the classroom from executives. We get it when we're in companies. Well, we don't have time for this kind of thing. Isn't that the fluff? And we argue that it's not at all about extra time. You can choose to say something with a positive tone or a neutral tone or a really negative, grating tone that people respond to so powerfully.
So, Christine, what are we choosing? I mean, are we getting more negative in our responses because we're frustrated as well?
I think so. I think that people, tend to have less tolerance for this kind of thing and tend to be on edge more. So I think really the stress within the workplace as well as stresses outside, whether it's dual income, work-life balance is, not great right now for Americans. And so I think that the idea is that people are more on edge than ever, and so they have less tolerance for anything, and this is one of those things that really seems to irk them.
Yeah. It's interesting. You said dual. A lot of callers this morning, and this is Houston, Texas, keep that in mind, have suggested that dueling with guns would eliminate a lot of rude people. We don't subscribe to that. I just want you to know, Christine. But some of our listeners have suggested that. Listen, if you would be kind enough to hang on, when we come back, I want to ask you how we should deal with this. I'm going to give you a scenario, and you tell me how you think I should deal with something like this so that when we go out from here, we are a little more informed on how to deal with rude people.
Now, back to Matt and your morning news.
KTRH News Time is 7:52, and joining us, Christine Porath. She's a researcher with Georgetown University, and she was involved in the study that finds, as Lois just mentioned, that more people are being rude today, and we've been talking to Christine about that. Christine, thanks so much for taking the time.
Sure. No, I appreciate it.
All right, so let me give you a scenario. Tell me what to do. I'm in a restaurant. Waitress is not being very kind to me. She's being very nasty to me. Just kind of throwing the food down. I realize that she's got a tood. What do? Do I just ignore it, maybe not tip her, or do I say something to the management?
Well, ideally, you'd say something to the management. I don't think it happens too often, but I think the idea is that we've found over the years companies rarely get this information, and so no one does anything about it. So ideally, maybe you'd give her a heads up, like, it would be great if you could, be nice to us. We came here for good service, and kind of say it with a sense of humor, but one where she gets the message. But I would say if it, continues, and you get stuff thrown at you throughout the meal, then, it's one of these things where the restaurant should get that information, because otherwise they risk losing you as a customer without ever having the knowledge and the ability to correct the situation. And again, that's what we're looking for, is how are ways that managers can get this information and make corrections.
Because Christine, it's not just in the business, it's with our kids, and it's also on the political front. We just see this everywhere nowadays.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate, and actually that's one of the reasons also there seems to be a rise in, rudeness in the workplaces. They say, society has just gotten this way, and it's interesting because managers point to we're getting people without any sense of norms as employees. What are we supposed to do with this? And then you get the opposite, which is actually a quarter of people that we've surveyed that, why are you rude, actually say we're getting no training from the organization. So there's many reasons for these issues, I think, but they definitely seem to be on the rise, which is unfortunate.
Christine, we thank you for your time, and we thank you for bringing this to our attention again. Hopefully it will make some of us be a little nicer, at least for today. Christine Porath from Georgetown University. Thanks, Christine.